Welcome to the Tuesday, July the 8th edition of Speaker Co-working. I'm Ron Story. I'm the head of membership, and I'm not the founder of Speaker Hub, but I am the owner of Speaker Hub. And good to see you all. We do this call every day to help you all get booked on more stages, make more money, and to impact more people with your business. Um, a lot of speaker sessions and coaching that you will go to will focus around your speaking and things of that sort. Here at Speaker Hub, we don't care about none of that. All we care about is, are you getting paid? Are you getting more exposure? Are you getting more opportunities to get paid? I'm a firm believer that most speakers are making less than $10,000 a year because they aren't making enough offers. So they're not offering themselves to speak enough. They're not offering their products and services to enough people. And when they do offer those things, they are um, trying to hit a home run every time. And Greg can attest that it's almost, well, nobody in official time has ever kicked an 80-yard field goal, but people have kicked, what, 73 or 74 is the record now? But nobody's ever kicked an 80-yard field goal. But you got to make those extra points every game. Those are things that you should have like a 90% completion rate on is extra points in a football game. And I think in speaking, we pass on the extra points because we take them for granted. We think that it's just an easy thing that's a gimme. But if you've ever played golf, there's no such thing as gimme as a gimme, especially if you're betting. You know how much money I made on people, forcing people to make that 1 foot putt that they thought they could pick up. Nope, got to make it. So let's start off with the wins, and then we'll get into introductions if we have any new people. Sharon, good to see you. Must be Sharon. It's cold where you at? She on this coat like she in Alaska. So where you in Argentina? Sharon, where you at with this coat on? I'm
She said
curious.
she's at the library. It's cold
Okay.
in there.
All right. I'm like, they probably thought you was interesting walking into that library with that coat. I'm like, it's July. She got the wolf fur on the coat. The that's the hot. I mean, that's the cold coat. When I was a kid, I had that coat, and it had the silver coat on it, and I used to act like I was a wolf. Woo! Because I had the fur. My friends used to say, "What is that velvet from Coming to America?" But okay, I'm digressing. But any wins from since yesterday? We do daily wins. We ain't waiting all week for a win. We want our people winning every day. So Bonnie, go ahead.
Yeah, so thanks to Angela. I will be speaking for the Computer um, Systems Institute. Whoop whoop. Psyched about that. And I'm in conversation with the Wild Animal Sanctuary here in Colorado. It is the world's largest wild animal sanctuary with 33,000 acres and 950 carnivores rescued from zoos, roadside attractions, and crazy people who think that lions are pets. This is a huge honor that these people are interested in me, and I'm super stoked. So that's coming up too.
You gonna be speaking there or moving there? No, I'm just kidding. I'm
Yeah,
just
I belong there.
she's like she was describing her roommates.
I do belong there. But yes, it'll be speaking to the humans.
No, that's cool, man. I didn't know if you were
Thanks.
like a lion whisperer. You was gonna go and talk to the lions, like, "Hey, I know they did you wrong, and you weren't supposed to be in that person's private house. But we're gonna welcome you back to the jungle."
Exactly. I could do it. I am a horse whisperer, so I'm sure I could cross over. But
All right,
yeah,
we got
I'm excited about that.
we got
Should be
Bonnie
great.
Doolittle. Bonnie Doolittle.
Thank you.
Camille, what's going on?
So I had an interesting conversation. Well, first of all, two wins. First one, I had a conversation with a podcast host, and I'm booked to be on her podcast, but we're going to record in the future. And that's wonderful, and I'm excited. The second one, though, was a podcast that I had done not a pitch, a connection.
Mhm.
The person responded saying, "Hey, can you share your bio?" And then he scheduled a meeting. So I show up to the meeting this morning thinking, okay, we're gonna get to know each other, talk about how it works, and then we would book the recording. Oh no, we're recording. So I'm glad I had my content ready to go and I had my framework and all and I could share it. But I would just say be prepared because I got on. I even thought, why is he using Riverside for our conversation? That's kind of weird,
He wants the interview to be in 4K. No, he's recording.
So we
No,
got it done.
well, I think that that's a great thing to share with people is that there is no standardized way. Podcasters run their business however they run their business, and some people do interviews, pre-interviews. Some people won't. Some people even try to sell you something during their podcast. Right? It's like, wait a minute, this wasn't a podcast interview. You wanted to sell me something, but you're going to turn it into content at the same time. Now, I have no problem with what two adults agree to do. If you agree to go through that process, go through it. If you agree to be on someone's podcast, understand what it is and make that decision. Because I get pitched all the time, hey, I can help you to do this. And my favorite response on LinkedIn is, man, that's a great topic. You ever thought about giving a speech about that? And they be like, yeah, wait, you can get me booked for speaking? I'm like, yeah, you totally did look at my LinkedIn profile. It's an automated message. But now that I offered you a speaking gig, going over to Speaker Hub and sign up. And so I turn those LinkedIn pitches into reverse sales conversations for myself, right? And because they gonna pitch you anyway, right? You can't stop them automations on LinkedIn. So find out what your response should be that brings them into your world. Because you got to remember, 90% of those messages from LinkedIn are automations. So the human or whoever, like usually it's someone that's virtual that's sending them, they're used to getting a certain response. So when you respond something out of the ordinary, now they got to go talk to the person. Say, yo, he said something about speaking. You interested in speaking? And next thing you know, that person is brought into your world and you didn't even have to really pitch them. So um, someone's offering you something, say, hey, do you all bring in speakers for leadership coaches at your company? Do you, you know, I noticed that like Camille, hey, I would look at their page. If they send me a message, I'm looking at their page. Oh, I noticed that they may not be the founder of the company, right? And you look it up and you see who the founder is and you reach out to them. Hey, your teammate Angela hit me up about such and such. I was wondering if you all needed sales coaching or leadership coaching or something of that sort. But don't squander those opportunities because it's almost impossible for them to be rude to you because they reached out to you, right? So just keep that in the back of your mind. But high five and just know that no two processes are alike. Everybody has their own way of doing things. So, any other wins or conversations, topics that you all want to cover? Oh, Linda timidly did this. Glad she was right here at the top where I could see it. Go ahead, Linda.
Don't be calling me timid.
I'm used to this.
You're used to what?
People putting their
What are you
hand
talking
up,
about?
waving.
If you
Yeah,
can't see that, there's something wrong with you.
it was
Like,
down here like this. Y'all saw that.
stop.
she
Anyway,
she turned into
I'm not
stop
timid.
it
I'm
now,
not
babe.
timid,
I'm
and I
not.
don't have imposter syndrome like somebody typed in bold caps in the chat a couple meetings ago. But it did make me look that up and see what it was and write a couple articles about it that I published. So that was good. Anyway, my win is that I found an illustrator for another one of my children's books. So they're hard to come by. And you can find them in the most unusual places. I think it's the same as like speaking opportunities. If you always have your ears and eyes open for little suggestions of a possibility that things can happen. So, boom.
Yeah, it's incredible. High five. Way to go.
Thank
Way
you.
to go. Any other wins? Any other wins? No? Cool. Cool, cool. I gotta clean off my glasses. So, what I want to do today is to pick up where we left off yesterday and last week. Really just trying to help you all to understand who your target audience is. And yesterday, one of the exercises that I left you with was um, starting with you as your own target audience. Did anybody work on that at all for 5 minutes 10 minutes, 16 minutes? No? Okay. So let's go over it anyway. So, you know, the great thing about selling anything is your first point of reference. In software, we call it dog fooding, right? So people ask me, well, Ron, how did you understand the functionality of what PitchDB or Speaker Hub should be? And we called it dog fooding, meaning you eat your own dog food. So Angela and I, we ran an agency. Angela had her own agency where she booked people, and I had my own agency. We were using our own software to do it, to solve the problems within the agency, so that while I'm booking somebody for a speaking gig or for a podcast, I'm using the software so I know the same bugs that you all know, right? And then I know which bugs I can live with fixing right now, which ones I don't have to fix immediately, right? But by dog fooding the thing, by using it myself and knowing what applies to me and what I love and hate about it, um, that's how we developed our stuff. Now, if you look at Speaker Hub versus all the other platforms that are out there, we're the only platform that is sales focused. Everybody else is wait and see focused. You put up your thing and you hope someone comes and finds you. Does that make sense? We're the only ones that are sales focused. Why? Because this dude right here built this for himself. I didn't build it for everybody else. I built it for me. So I built from the perspective of, if I was a speaker, how would I attack the world and how would I get booked? And then I started to find other speakers who were like me, like Odell Bazell and Frank Kitchen, people who didn't mind pitching, right? Well, they were like, nah, this solves all of the problems. Bart Womack, they want to pitch. They were already paying someone to pitch on their behalf. So I started to find that, wait a minute, I'm not just solving this for myself. I'm solving this with people who look at this problem the same way that I look at it, right? So, Linda, when you're working on your children's books and you're trying to find other publishers, right from your perspective, I promise you that they feel the same things that you were feeling years ago or right now while you're working on it, right? You have to go back a little bit to think about when you were a beginner and what you dealt with, but your more advanced stuff, they're really going to be like one step behind you, right? Kind of running into the problems as you run into them on your more advanced things. And I don't think that that's taught enough in real world businesses. I think it's taught a lot in software because a lot of us are what we call bootstrapped. But in the real world businesses, we really don't talk about the solving the problem internally first, and then um, well, having a solution for yourself first and then going out to the market, because you get to talk about it from a completely different perspective. So I want to go through that today with some of you guys, just to think about that. Why? Because this translates to the stage. If you don't believe that this translates to the stage, you being more self-aware about yourself and how you look at things, it will change your speech. Your signature speech will change the more you know the person that you look at in the mirror every day, because you will talk with more empathy, you will talk more candidly, and with less hiding. The people that we know and respect the most as speakers are the ones who got what we used to say butt naked in front of us, right? They didn't hide any of the stuff. We were like, man, I remember this one lady preacher years ago. This was, man, like 2000, maybe even 1997, 1998. This lady named Juanita Bynum. I don't know if she's still around right now, but Juanita Bynum had this thing called Woman Thou Art Loose. And it was a TD Jakes thing, but he brought her to speak at it, right? And she would talk about the wild. Now this was wild for 1997, but she would talk about the wildest stuff. And you would think like people would. She had a Kojic church. The mama's gonna kick her out of here. They all standing up like, yeah, yeah. I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. These ladies were secretly dealing with this thing happening to them, and this thing happening to them, and this thing happening, and this thing happening. And Nobody ever talked about this. Like, they never brought this up. Holy smokes. And then TD Jakes and a bunch of other pastors, Eddie Long and a lot of other folks, came out with Manpower. It was the same thing as Woman Thou Art Loose, but it was just the other side, right? And that was this thing started by the Colorado football coach. I can't think of, man, this had to be 1997. It was called Promise Keepers. And it was this big conference, it was like the white Million Man March, as I like to say it. It was the same as the Million Man March, but it was just white people, right? But white Christian men at the time. Huh? But go ahead, Greg. I can't hear you. Is it you talk? You're muted, Greg. We can't hear you. We still can't hear you. No, we still can't hear you. No, there were some black folks there. Let me just put it, but that was my point of reference because I went to the Million Man March, right? But there was this guy there named Tony Evans. And Tony Evans, Pastor Tony Evans, this again, guys, this was 25 years ago. Tony Evans got up and talked about stuff from a perspective that I never heard of before. And I'm like, holy smokes, like, you can be this type of person. You can be a person of integrity. And his whole thing was you didn't have to beat everybody over the head with Jesus. No, again, I was a professional beater over the head with the Bible dude, right? I mean, my right arm was just as strong as my left arm. I could get you with both of them, right? But he made it where, hey, look, everybody ain't called to do that. And be sure before you go out there that this is what you believe, this is what your purpose was. Totally changed my life. And I never really decided to ever pursue that path anymore. I was going to go to seminary, all this other stuff, right? And I was like, oh no, this dude he talked about this ability to be a man without all of this extra stuff. And I was like, yeah, I can do that. But Greg, you were going to say something. No, you may have missed what I said when I went off. It wasn't like the Million Man March for white folks, but that's how I saw it as a 17-year-old, because I ain't never seen this many white men in one place, and I had just got back from the Million Man March. But go ahead, Greg. I'll let you talk about it. We still can't hear you. So you got to click at the bottom, click on your little mic. There's an arrow. Yeah, we can't hear you for some reason. It says you're unmuted, but I don't know why. Yeah, it may be the microphone. There's usually a mic selection thing. I don't know if you're familiar with that. Next to the microphone, there's an arrow pointing up, and you may have to select the mic on your thing. Well, he left before I could tell him. But those were people that liberated me to be me, right? And you begin to find this liberation, and it helped me to build some of the most genuine friendships with everybody. Ange tells the story about our first conversation because I knew this was pre all of this accusation stuff. I'll tell y'all why. Because I was ahead of the game with this stuff, but I'll explain it. Let's see if Greg's audio works. All right, let's see. Where you at, Greg? Nope. So again, there's a little arrow next to the mic. And did you select the microphone? So a lot of times I get on and I've selected the wrong microphone in my select the mic thing. Yeah, we still can't hear you. So, but come back and tell the story because I want to hear your perspective on PK, right? But there were a lot of people who allowed me to be more Ron, right? And one of the things that the stories that Edge tells is we used to work in this co-working building, right? And I'm the only black dude in the co-working building, right? Like, ain't no other black dudes. There's one older black guy, but he ain't a part of co-working. He just got an office in the building. And I'm like very leery of like people lying on you and all this other crap. So I'm like, look, any guys, I know how to talk to them, but any woman in here that I ever talk to first without them saying something to me, I'm as straight up as possible, so they could never say that. Oh, you'll never say that about me. So, Ange, I had been living in Costa Rica at the time, and I came back for the summer, and I see this tall lady in this like the best office they had. It wasn't like she had the BS office. She had the best office, 4 glass walls in the corner. I'm like, who is that? And why she in there? Right? So I go knock on the door. I said, yo, are you here at T-Rex? She said, yeah, I work for a thing called the Network for Teaching Entrepreneurship. And I said, cool. Can you tell me about it? But I want to let you know, I'm not trying to shoot my shot. That ain't what this is. I'm going to be very clear that I just want to know what you do. And she was like, okay, right. And then she tells me about that. But that's setting the stage when you're in an environment where people are always shooting their shot at people all the time. We ain't even gonna play that game. Let me just let you know, I want to know about what's happening in the business. And it set a foundation for us to work together. This was 2015. So this 10 years later, right? That same level of respect. But if I wasn't comfortable in myself to be straight up and not have to worry about whether she rejected or accepted, or she thought it was, I didn't care. I looked out for me, right? I did what was right for me. And I think that as we become more comfortable and we get to talking about the struggles and what we deal with as a business owner and as a speaker, or in whatever your topic is, you open up a layer of communication and trust that you'll just never deal with anyplace else. One of the biggest compliments came over the last year came from Jadika. And Jadika and Seyron, they both said the same thing. They said, you know, you're one of the first people I bought for. I bought from. I never thought you was selling me nothing. And I'm like, cool. That's how it should feel. You should feel like this person is helping you to buy something, not that you're pitching or selling them something, right? So the word pitch came into our company because it was a cool domain name. It wasn't because it was functional, because I'm not a pitch person. I really don't like the whole song and dance. I'm really a connector, but we named the company Pitch DB, so it couldn't be called Connect DB. So we just kind of went along with it for a branding standpoint. But moral of the story is that the more you become transparent about how you solve your own problem, the easier it is to take you to the stage. One last thing, we'll go to Greg, see if his mic is working. If we think of the best love songs, go look at the inspiration for it. I guarantee you it was a husband or a wife or somebody that they were secretly singing to. You know, what's the song? I wish you didn't trust me so much. That was Bobby Womack singing to Sam Cooke. And he was telling the truth. If you don't know the story of them two, look at Greg. Greg know the story. If you don't know the story of Sam Cooke and Bobby Womack, look, Sam Cooke and Bobby Womack was best friends. And Bobby Womack allegedly wore Sam Cooke's suit to his funeral, married his wife, and then got Sam Cooke's daughter pregnant. Go look it up. Sam Cooke, Bobby Womack. It is wild. And he wrote a song called I Wish He Didn't Trust Me So Much. Talking about when you go out of town, I'll be with her and I'm gonna get her one day. You like, oh, this old scoundrel. But don't trust me, trust the internet. Look it up. Bobby Womack, Sam Cooke. Wild, right? I read there was a song that was written by Al B. Sure that was to Kim Porter, right? But most people don't know that before she dated P. Diddy, she was with Al B. Sure, and they ended up taking care of his son, all of this stuff, right? But it was a song that was written for somebody else. That person was being vulnerable. Yeah. Oh, wait, last one. Confessions by Usher. These are my confessions. Just when that song. I can't sing, but those lyrics. That was Jermaine Dupri, right? That song was about Jermaine Dupri's real life. That wasn't Usher's real life. That was Jermaine Dupri's real life that he has a daughter, Jayla, that came from that song, right? That transparency is what has made hits because people understood it. We understood what was going on. So let's talk about that a bit. Greg, you want to come up and talk about Promise Keepers?
Yeah, but you know,
Hey, go ahead.
you're hitting right on the head when you talk about pictures and stories and songs. That's why the great speakers can share their stories that are relatable. And once you connect from a personal standpoint, being relatable, then you're believable. And if you're believable, then that's when people trust you. And hell, you can try and talk wet out of water because they believe you with your stories. No, just very simple. You know, you hit a nerve. It wasn't a nerve, but just a memory of when Promise Keepers started out in Scottsdale, Arizona, the Scottsdale Princes. With Tony Evans was there, Bill McCartney from University of Colorado,
Mhm.
and a number of former NFL players, college players. I remember Barry Sanders was there. There were a whole lot of folks there, and the premise behind it was providing a safe place for men, because a lot of cats were looking for a place to where they can be trusted, where they can be vulnerable. So it and went to the moon,
100%.
filling stadiums across the country.
And they were filling football stadiums,
That's what I mean.
70,000,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
Beyonce stadiums, talking
Yep.
about get all guys to come talk about Jesus.
Exactly.
Bananas.
Exactly. So no, that I was in that room when they made the decision, when Bill decided to leave Colorado to start Promise Keepers. He was a key figure at that time. He had a lot of credibility, a lot of notoriety. So when the train left the station, it was full.
100%.
Yep.
And I think that's another testimonial towards how when if you don't put the idea out there, you'll never know if the time has arrived for that idea, right? And we see people all the time who go viral, but they don't go viral on everything. They put out 800 videos before one took off, right? But the time had just arrived for that idea, right? I guarantee you there was somebody in the 80s saying, man, one day I'm gonna be able to pick up my phone and I ain't got to deal with this old stinky taxi cab. Well, he was just 20 years ahead of Uber. It wasn't that he was wrong, right? It wasn't that he wasn't right, as we like to say. It just wasn't right now, right? And a lot of times it's not that you're not right. It's just, you're just not right now. You may need 3 to 4 years more of development, and the circumstances in the air and the changes in the market and all of these things make the thing work. 5 years ago, when we started Speaker Hub or PitchDB, we couldn't do the things we do now because AI wasn't out. You see what I mean? Like AI wasn't as developed as it is. But I happen to have a friend who had a PhD in machine learning. And since 2013, he had been talking to me about AI. And he's like, dude, you can use machine learning and vector associations and embeddings in order to like match stuff. And I'm like, okay, I don't really know how I'm going to use that. And we were trying to do it to match people with not speaking leads, with sales leads, right? Because we could buy their data from the credit card companies and know which magazines they read, which restaurants they liked, all of the stuff. And then we could just give our customers a list of people who match that. Well, that's all we're doing now with your speaking gigs. We're looking at your stuff, not the credit card data, because that's not important, but we look at who you are and what you do, and then we match you with gigs using the same technology. So I want to talk about, I'll go to Jadika and then we'll go into some of you guys, like talking about what are some of the things that make you who you are, and how can you target those people who like and feel that way so that you can get those first few customers. If you're not above 10,000, if you're above 10,000, we'll show you how do you grow that group. and get more of those, more at scale. But Janika, go ahead.
Ron, I just wanted to share with you one of the things that had always been a real kind of sticky point for me is in terms of telling your story. And all of my mentors and coaches were always saying, you got to tell your story, got to tell your story. Well, what happened for the past month or so, I've had some real interesting podcast hosts that have asked some real interesting questions. And those questions were related to me telling a story. And I hadn't even thought about it till after the podcast in terms of I did share a story that was related to the work I do. Was related about me. So I'm supporting what you're saying because that's something you have to get comfortable in stepping in terms of your self-awareness and being able to go public with it. And for me, it was, well, it's not as bad as I was mentally thinking it was going to be. It's starting to become easy in terms of me getting comfortable with it because the stories are real and those stories can benefit somebody because I'm seeing it from the results of me just sharing on those podcasts.
100%. There's the old saying, more is caught than taught, right? People will pick up what they need from your story more than if you gave them a lecture about it, right? And if we approach it from that perspective. Now, I mentioned Manpower with TD Jakes, and the key, if you go back and you watch that old VHS tape, he tells the story about Moses and how Moses was, a shepherd of men or whatever, and he had his staff. And if you understood the stories behind the staff for shepherds, they would write their locations where they had been, how many sheep they had. It was kind of like their history. Their staff was kind of their notebook at the time, right? And it had all these engravements on the side that told the story. And when the plagues came, Moses was told to, throw down the staff, and then the plague would leave. And then he picked it up, and another plague of frogs came, throw down the staff, blah, 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 and it would do it. And the analogy that TD Jakes used was that was Moses getting comfortable with his story, getting comfortable with telling the story and exercising his story, and it was relieving all the things around him. The more he became comfortable with who he was able to lead the people better into the promised land, so forth and so on. Now, again, TD Jakes told his story without even going into the Bible about it. He just told the story. So it was more, I caught that story 25 years ago, right? He didn't teach it. He told it. And I took the parts out of it that I liked. And I talk about it all the time and paraphrase. I think this may be the third time it's come up on these calls, right? Because that's how much I believe that you just got to be willing to deal with your stuff. And if you're willing to deal with it, what can they really say? Y'all remember the movie 8 Mile with Eminem? Y'all, anybody ever see that movie, 8 Mile? How did 8 Mile, Deanna, how did 8 Mile win the rap battle? It's a movie with Eminem rapping against Mekhi Phifer. Do you remember how he won the rap battle? Go ahead, you can unmute and talk about it. We can't hear you. You muted. Or if you don't know, AJ will tell us. We can't hear what you're saying. But AJ, you want to tell us how he won the rap battle?
So what Eminem did before a dude could say anything bad about him, he said all the bad stuff about himself. So he said, everything dude was about to say, I am white, I am a bum, I do live with my mom in the trailer park, I sleep in my sister's bed, or my niece's bed. Everything the dude said, he was like, yeah, y'all did beat me up, you did get my girl, everything. So when it was time for dude to say something, he had nothing to say because Eminem put everything out there.
100%. And we call that preempting, right? Preempting is getting it out of the way before they can bring it up, right? Or some other folks who teach speaking, they'll call it a damaging admission. And do you tell everything wrong about you? No, but people do want to know that you struggle with something similar, right? You don't literally tell all your flaws, but you gotta be more human. That makes it where they, because the one thing you say, well, you don't understand what I've been through. Psst, what? Right? I get that all the time. Oh man, but you buy businesses, so you really don't understand what it's like to come up from nothing. Like I turned into Scooby Doo on them, like because people see where I live now and they see the lifestyle that I have now, and I mean, and I live a pretty good life that most people in the world would admire, right? But let me show you this. I want to show this because I think it's important. Right? So this is the home that I grew up in. And you can't see it, but it's back there. If we zoom in, it's back there. Right? This the street. That was my uncle's house. My granddad's house was there. My aunt's house was down here. My dad got this house. And so we own 5 houses on this block. My granddad did. But this is the street I lived in up until 2010. My mama lived right here. Right? So when people see, oh man, you've lived in all, and I used to throw rocks on top of this building and play baseball and all of that, right? But this is where I grew up. This is East St. Louis, 2029 Trindley, right? But if I don't show this, I have a post on Instagram about that basketball hoop. Let me see if I can bring it up. Instagram, and I'll tell this story because I think it's one of those things. So let me see. This is my son playing soccer. Grew up in the 80s, having a basketball hoop in your yard with lights meant you was something special. That was before every kid on the block had one like today. For my son in Columbia, this is the equivalent of the basketball hoop at my house, right? But so he got a soccer thing. They don't have these. This is not normal in Columbia, where you got your own soccer field in your yard. You ain't got enough space. Most people live in an apartment. So to have the ability to go out and kick a soccer ball all night, well, that's very similar to this light that was on this pole would give me the same light to shoot hoops. Now, for some folks who think that they had it bad, I just became a good friend. Like, oh man, he really from the hood. Yes. Like, yes. Like, I didn't have it easy, but I bust my behind. Right? Now, people have done bigger and greater things, but I ain't trying to lead them. I ain't even trying to compare to them. I'm trying to inspire that little knucklehead kid that's still growing up in East St. Louis that got to make a decision between selling drugs and learning how to give a speech. I'm trying to be the leader I needed, right? So, because I used to get made fun of for that house. I'm only 5'5". I'm the tallest dude in my family. My mama 4'11", my sister 4'6" or something. I don't know. My family's really tiny. I felt like a giant at home, but when I went out into the world, everybody was AJ's height. And I'm like, why are they making fun of me? I'm like, I'm not even that short compared to my mom and them. But telling that story, do you see what I mean? Like being able to be transparent about that. So then, really quickly to show you, just kind of put it in perspective. This is a great book if you haven't heard of it. It's called The Gap in the Game by Ben Hardy and Dan Sullivan. Now, what this is about is the gap is the source of all of your frustration. It's where you are and your goals, the distance between where you are and your ultimate goal. Your ultimate goal may be a 7-figure business, to get paid $10,000 for a speaking gig, to sell a company someday, to do something. That's the gap. But the gain is where you came from. That's the source of all of your pride and happiness and fuel to keep going, because you realize I came from that. That's where I was born and raised, right? That's the house that I grew up in. No shame to my mom or dad or anybody. Back in the 80s, if you had a house that your family owned, you was proud in East St. Louis, where you weren't renting, right? So for my family to have 5 houses on the same block that was owned by my granddad, that was a big deal. But to show the gain, I mean, I don't have to say much. You can just look at my neighbor's house to know that I live better than what I did back then. Right? I mean, my neighbor's place that's one house. I just got the one next door. Right? So, a kid from East St. Louis, yo, you can go from here to here. You can go from living in the Orweathers projects to here. You can go from, staying home by yourself all day, not having anybody to play with, throwing rocks against the building to here. Huge. But I had to get over the shame. Does that make sense? So let's talk about that a little bit, if you all would like to. The importance. Has anybody ever had a situation where I remember the first time talking about something, and we don't have to talk about it, but I'll talk about my perspective. Where you share something that you knew the audience needed to hear, but it was so emotional to you that you get to crying yourself. You like, ooh, I got to deal with these little bit of tears but I got to tell them. And if I don't tell them this, it's going to destroy him. Now, one of the things that AJ and I became friends at this moment. This is during the pandemic, and we were playing chess at my house during the pandemic, and some conversation came up. And I went into this conversation about me being a mama's boy. My dad wasn't around. My dad actually lived next door to me, and I never saw him, right? Literally lived in the house next door, and no birthday gifts, nothing. It was like I was invisible, right? But I told AJ this story about me being a mama's boy and the things that I had learned through going through therapy and different types of coaching to help me to get over it. And AJ looked at me, well, I'll let him tell the story. He looked at me, he was like, what? But AJ, I don't know if you want to talk about that, but don't go into too many details, but talk about the effect of hearing that side of my life.
We want the details.
So it was interesting because you got two men that are from the same area that's it's a pretty rough area, like where we grew up at.
AJ grew up 10 minutes away from me, by the way. And I didn't know him until I moved to Columbia.
We didn't know each other until we moved here.
We lived on the same street in Columbia and had no idea.
Now, his house was not the house he in now, just so y'all know.
Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that.
All right, I love messing with him. All right, but we were talking. We were playing chess and talking, and when he started talking about him being a mama's boy, it like touched me because I grew up without my father. And it was one of those moments where you tell both of us like it was like, I don't know how to say it, all of whatever men have, all of the masculine energy where we deal with, it was like all of the shame just went away, and it was like, yo, I could be real with this dude. And it got me comfortable sharing for real. Like I was able to then talk to him because I wasn't worried, because I was like, yo, he gets me. You know what I'm saying? So then I was able to share how I used to be very ashamed of the fact that like I'm one of 19 children, but my father was also a preacher. So then, you know what I'm saying? So it was like but then once you start telling it, it's like, yo, this is my life. This is who I am. And I was able to tell that because Ron, he told me, yo, I'm a mama's boy. And I started talking about all the stuff that I was dealing with being a mama's boy, all the things that I was, having to go through. And Ron would always tell me, like, I'm not better than you. I'm just 3 steps ahead. You know what I'm saying? Like, and then we actually started I won't call it a men's group because we was just
WhatsApp group.
It was a WhatsApp group, and it was called Mama's Boys. Like that was our name, and we realized
and all of us in that group was mama's boys. Had the same passive aggressive tendencies, all of the things that you don't get from male energy, right? And it's as a dad watching my son grow up and being able to point out the different things. Oh, one of my good friends, Darian, came to town this weekend. He says, "Man, what's happened with Paul? Paul ain't the same as 3 years ago, last time I saw him." And I'm like, yeah, we work on that. Like we when I first came into his life, he was 2. He was a mama's boy. He didn't trust me. He didn't know nothing about me. But over the last 4 years, he's been with me every day. So a lot of that has gotten out. Now, well, you take care of somebody else's kid. Shut up. You're an idiot, right? Somebody else took care of me, right? So how can I be disrespectful to my stepdad for being a great dad to me by saying I don't want to help? We can get in a whole nother conversation about that. All I'm telling you is the more transparent you are about your own wounds, the better help you can get and the better help you can give. Does that make sense? That's what's going to separate us from AI, guys. Right? That ability to be wide open within limits, right? And then in a smaller group where there's more trust and things of that sort, you can get even more transparent about the things that have happened to you or that you've learned over that time period and how they made you feel. And I just think that that's the difference. That's what makes all of us who we are. But it's also the thing that holds all of us back if we don't use it the right way. Does that make sense? Let's open it up a bit. We got 10 more minutes. Letha, is our thing today or next week?
Next week. Next
Okay,
week.
I was about to say we gotta cut this short.
No. The next week. Next week. I came in to be part of the family, part of the community.
Okay, all right. Cool. I
Whenever
thought
I
she was coming
can.
to say, hey, you got 10 minutes. I thought she was, about to come.
No, we're good. We're good.
But yeah, when we think about this now, if you have a son that is, and I'll just kind of put this out there, if you have a son and you're raising him by yourself, you got to remember that 90% of the people that he sees as leaders at his school, at home, is going to be feminine energy, and that's going to affect him a lot, and it's going to take some undoing as he gets older. So send him over to his uncles. I know you think they too rough with him. Send him over there, okay? It'll help him out a lot. When he go to the barbershop, leave. Don't you sit in that barbershop with that boy. Leave him. I'm gonna give y'all some basic game. Don't you go in that barbershop. You send him in with the money. He is okay. He gonna have some conversations and hear some things that he need to hear. That ain't gonna happen if you sitting in that barbershop with him. Now I'm just all right. This is part of my mama's boy therapy.
I can
And
attest
AJ
to that.
used to be a barber, so he
I
can
used to be
attest
a
to
barber. And me and Ron talked about that. How when a mother is in there, a mother will say things like, "Don't you want to get your hair cut?" And he's like, "No." Right? As soon as mama leave, I'll be like, "Sit down so I can cut your hair." Right? He be chilling. It's totally different because like I feel like kids know, like we know, and it's just a different energy. And having a group of men, that even just a group of friends that you could be transparent with. I think every one of us in our group has cried. You know what I'm saying? And didn't feel shamed about crying, and it was like, and knowing that at the end of the day, nobody would look at us less than, and that was a lot because that's how Ron kind of started. Like me and his friendship was just started just from transparency and him opening up about being a mama's boy and being little all his life and how he had it, you know what I'm saying, go through life doing it.
So let's open up the floor. What are, I don't know what you all's commentary. I know this is an unusual topic, but it's one of the more important topics, I think, as an entrepreneur that we could ever deal with, because let me tell one last story. You ever met someone and they talk like they got it all together and you can help them, but you're like, well, they don't need my help. But in reality, underneath, they are dying, right? But you don't find out until they lose their house, until they lose their car. But all the time, they was fronting like everything was perfect. And it's hard to get mentorship or even advice and direction when you put out the appearance that everything is working, right? And I think that as a new entrepreneur, because our egos are so close to the business, we gotta psychologically tell ourselves that everything's gonna be all right. But underneath, man, this thing is hard, right? And that's why I was so proud of Diana yesterday, because I remember the hours we would spend on the call. And she didn't know me from anybody, but I was the person willing to listen, right? And she would talk about, "Oh, I'm trying to get into more schools and I want to do this and I want to do that." And to hear where she's come from, where she's gone to now, bananas. Why? Because she's found a unique way to use her same voice, same singing, same talent, and just take it to the moon. But she had to be willing to try something new. She had to be coachable. She talked about that yesterday. She needed a coach. She had to be willing to say, look, I know this person ain't a speaker, but they're not here to teach me how to use my voice. They're teaching me how to use the platform. Do you see what I mean? So the person won't be able to tell you how to tell your story, but they'll be able to tell you how to use the platform to get that story out and to help more people. So I just wanted to kind of lean on that for a minute, but unusual topic, but it's one of the biggest things that holds us back as entrepreneurs. Timid Linda.
Okay, that was deliberate timid. Would it be too weird if I shared a poem that I wrote recently
Go
that
ahead.
touches on this?
I've been waiting on this since last week. You told us
Oh,
you was
this is
the
all right. So how about the group? I mean, watch all these faces blink off like a poem. What the hell? So people tend to look at me and oops,
is this the
don't.
poem already? We
Oh
got to
no,
do okay.
no, no.
Like, is she
People
already into it?
shut up. I'm uh let me see how to do this. It might not happen. You're so annoying. Okay.
See,
So
you see how being more transparent allows her to be more of who Linda is now. We ain't never seen
yeah,
this Linda before, but we get the real Linda now.
yeah. So people tend to look at me and judge from the outside that, I'm like this. Like I asked John Diggs once, what do you think my childhood was like? And he said, well, white picket fence. I mean, people, and I live in Scottsdale, Arizona, which I call Snotsdale. But so am I sharing my screen?
Yep, we can see sometimes I
Okay.
cheat. There's a Howard.
Yeah, so I write on Medium, which is a platform for writers. But so here's the poem I wanted to share. Shall I read it?
Yeah, perform it. We don't know how you heard it in your mind, so we want to hear it from
Okay,
you.
so this is a picture of a mural I took when I was in Montreal that I thought kind of went here. Okay. Sometimes I cheat at parties when playing two lies and a truth by telling all truths, just to hear their comments, just to see how proud they are of knowing me so well, as they dismiss the obvious lies and zero in on what they know must be the sole truth, leaving me with the soul truths unshared. I don't know if that says anything to anybody.
No,
But
no, but here's I think that this is appropriate.
yeah, because people, like, there are people you want to open up to and share your soul with. And there's a lot of people who, like in the community where I live, we don't share common values. Even though we're all here in, this crazy
So
gorgeous place.
I'm a firm believer, and you may have heard this yesterday, that one of my favorite Stephen Covey quotes is, "That which is most personal is most general," right? And reading through that poem there, what I took from it is that it's not that you don't want to share the truth. This is what I heard, and poetry is open to art and interpretation.
Yep.
Is not that you don't want to share the truth, is that you don't want to. You feel as if you're taking the power back from them by them not knowing what the truth really is. And I've taken the opposite approach, right? Meaning that I'm gonna put it out there, and then my frat brother Brooke used to say, "Yeah, okay, but you can't whoop my ass." That's kind of my approach to it, right? And black men, we always say, "You dude may win the argument, yeah, but you can't kick my ass though." And then the argument's over because the other dude don't want to fight him. That was the answer from Brooke. Everything somebody would make jokes about him, and I knew this conversation about to be over once he say this, right? And that kind of became my approach towards just sharing who I am, because I can't undo it. I can't not undo what I've done. It's me. What you gonna do? Like, you can keep talking about it. Now everybody thinks you're weird. Or you can just move on and we all just go forward with our lives. And I think that for me, that's how I took the power back, which was just being radically transparent and
Hey,
allowing
Ron,
people to have to deal with it. Go ahead.
can I share what I thought I saw and
Oh, go
heard
ahead.
with
Yeah.
Linda? First of all, the mural. First of all, thank you for being open and honest. First of all, the mural. I saw you in one of those faces, and you were hiding behind one of the faces because you didn't trust enough of you for them to accept you. Your story is your story, and your story is not for everyone. And it's only for those who God gives it to.
Yeah.
And you got to be okay with that.
Yeah.
My story is not for everyone. You're not going to connect with everyone in the audience, but connect with those one or two key people. That makes the difference.
Right. Thank
High
you.
five to that.
Yeah.
That's it. Y'all ever seen the movie Avatar?
Oh, 3 times on IMAX.
Right. And the one thing about the avatars is that at the end of the night, they all plug into that tree to recharge. And when they was trying to fight and they needed to strengthen up and heal and bring the one back, they all plugged their tails into the tree. Right. And different types, if you watch the other avatars, there's different types of avatars and they all don't plug into the same tree. Right. I think that our audience we're the tree that they plug into. Everybody's voltage. You take a US plug and you take it to Europe and stick it in there and see what happened to your MacBook. Right? Everybody's voltage ain't set up to work with you, Camille. They ain't set up to work with Greg or Linda or Valencia, but you just want the folks whose voltage works. And you want their thing to be like the light over there, not flickering like that one. Right? You don't want it flickering because that's a mismatch. You want it just beaming, right? And that's when you found the right frequency. So, Greg, I love your interpretation, and that's the beauty of art. Everybody will hear your stuff. They will read your speech. They will hear your speech, and they will walk away with the thing that they needed. They're gonna walk away with what they need, and that's all that matters. It ain't gonna be the same, right? Floor is open. Any other comments? Anything else to share? I wanted to open it up to do some other things, but nope, we're gonna just stick on this until we dead for the day. Yeah. Any other
Yeah.
thoughts? Bonnie, go ahead.
Yeah, I do. Thanks. Um, all of the work that I do is around this idea of getting it out of yourself and communicating with others when you feel safe. And whether that's, two Black men on a chess game who came from the same hood, or Linda's beautiful poem with the artwork that attached to it so well. I tell people, it's not safe. I can't talk to anybody. I'll like go outside and talk to trees. Just express it, get it out, write it, speak it, draw it. It's really inspiring. You guys, thanks for sharing everything you did today. Appreciate it.
Oh, high five. Cool. Anything else, guys?
Yeah, Ron, great conversation. I love it today because I've been in situations like this all over, but I prepared for a podcast and I have to run for that podcast. And so I was a little late, so I squeezed in whatever time. And I'm glad I did because it's a great conversation. So love the little bit of time. It doesn't have to be an hour for you to impact you. It was just a little bit and I'm totally impacted. So thanks a lot. Bye, everyone. See you soon.
All right. See you
Catch you
next time, guys.
tomorrow.
Curtis that came back.
Yeah,
Shut
yeah.
up.
It was kind of crazy because that whole story that you and AJ were talking about is kind of like what I was talking about on a few podcasts a long time ago. So, like, I made this whole framework of what you need to have to grow a successful, like, man out of a single parent relationship. And the framework was race. You got to have the relationship. You have to build the relationship with the child. You have to have that trust. It's going to build that trust. Then the A is you have to have action. So like I could go into like all the framework and everything like that. Like there's kind of like a infographic that I made, but it's basically relationship, action, community, and environment, and then you excel. So it's like RACE. So
Yeah,
I
that's
can
cool,
share
man.
that
Yeah, if
in
you want to
here.
put it in the group or put a
Yeah,
link to it, that would be great. But
yeah.
I think it's more common than than we talk about, right? And that's when you know you hit a home run, is when you're like, everybody's like, wait, I can talk about this. I don't have to be ashamed. I can say something. This is great. I've been wondering. I thought nobody understood me, right? So Diana, what's up?
I just have two things. They're much lighter than all of this stuff, so I hope, y'all can just feel me.
This is
Number one, inside of the speaker hub, I would love for you to put the blueprint on how to move to Columbia. Because I'm sick of watching all y'all folks on the beach and with the warm backgrounds and whatnot. I mean, I just got to move to Texas, but if anyway, blueprint,
Wait,
please.
where you at in Texas?
Dallas
Oh,
on the
that's
water.
down the street from Ange. Go meet with Ange. Ange lived here for 3 years. She'll figure it out with you.
And are you
Ange
here?
comes and visits every 3 or 4 months. Ange
You're
was just
here.
here like two
Yeah,
weeks ago.
I have your email. Let's blueprint. I want to come. And number two, so I'm glad about all of the accomplishments lately, but you already know like there's this deep burning and passion inside of me to go into these schools and the libraries and the churches and all the places where the kids can see the books. So I don't know, like I just in my mind I wish that there was a speaker hub or pitch DB just for children's authors. So if you want to come up with another business, I would definitely be your first sign up person. I tell my husband, I'm like,
So,
where do we find where we can just pitch to schools? We want to come
so,
and
so
come.
no, I got you. I got you on that. So one of the things that the most recent expansion of Speaker Hub has been to add businesses, right? So we added corporate recently. That's a recent expansion, and that data will go in soon. We have the data for all of the schools. Here's the one problem. It's what we call the half-life of data. The data erodes when they get a new principal. So we
Yeah,
got the principals for this year, and then guess what they do in August?
yeah,
They introduce a new principal, but he was hired in June, but he don't have the new, and so we end up with this kind of the data, 60% of the data dies every year. So
yeah,
that's been the biggest issue with doing schools is the principles change all the time and you end up kind of, with a bunch of dead data. Any data that you need, and can you give her the list? I mean the link, and I can get you whatever schools you want. I'll just give you the list, no problem. Um, and can you give her the link? I think I don't know what it is, but if you still have it, that allows her to make a data request. And I'll get you whatever schools you need. This is the best time to do it because the new principals are there now versus if you ask me in May, in March, it's a horrible time because we give you a list. And when you get to start to reach out, they all got different jobs,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
So this is a good time to do it now. And we'll be able to get you the relevant leads you need. Um, but I got you on that. I promise you.
Well, thank you so, so much. I really appreciate that. And then I'll take all of the libraries, wherever the kids are is fine for me. At this point,
On that list, it'll ask you who do you want to go after. So it'll
mm-hmm.
say libraries, schools, whatever. You can you get to type it in. Type in whatever you need, and we'll find those leads for you. Right?
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Thank
Cool.
you. And Columbia. Yeah.
Oh yeah, come on. Ange will give you the blueprint. Ange lived here for 3 years, and y'all live down the street from each other. Camille, ain't you in Dallas too? Where you at? Baltimore? I forgot where you were.
Northern
Somebody else on here.
Kentucky, near
Okay,
Cincinnati.
gotcha. Somebody else on here was in Dallas. If you're in Kentucky, I think
It was Frida.
Nicole. Oh, Frida, yeah. Nicole is in Louisville.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, I think she's in Louisville. Nicole Shelton. She comes on the attorney. But she's in between Louisville and Florida. between those two places. But I know she's originally from Louisville. Leroy, what's up, man? Oh, Larry, I forgot Larry is in Dallas too. So you got a bunch of connections down here. Larry can get you in front of some of the sports kids, like the NFL players' kids and stuff like that, probably in some of their associations, Deanna. Leroy, what's up, man?
Hello, Ron. Hello, everyone. How you all doing? I must chime in, not because I have to, because I wanted to, because I think the perspective the call took today was really, really beneficial. And I think a lot of people took away a lot from it, myself included. And I must attest. Well, first of all, thank you both so much, yourself, Ron, and AJ, for sharing your story. Now I feel like I know you a whole lot more, having done what you did, and I'm now seeing you in a totally different light. And I think that's what is needed, because in this space that we're operating now, connection is what is lacking. A lot of people have information, they have data, but they lack the ability to connect. And I think quite recently myself, when I've been appearing on podcasts, I've been sharing my background story to some extent. And I recognize the difference it's making in connecting with audience. So I think I can attest to that. That is really something that is very much needed. And I think once you can share, albeit appropriately, your origin story, it's a testament to the fact of how much you have grown and how much you have accepted yourself. And that's key for you to achieve success, because unless you are comfortable with your own story and nobody else will be comfortable with you. That's all I wanted was to say. So thank you.
No, that's incredible. I mean, origin stories are important. They're what make every superhero the superhero. But we skip to the good part. We don't want to tell the origin story. But if you don't understand what happened to Spider-Man, or what happened to Lois Lane, or what happened to Bruce Wayne, or Tony Stark, the story don't make sense, right? It's always like the first Iron Man is way better than all the other ones because we got to see how he became Iron Man, right? The first Dark Knight was better than the other two Dark Knights because we got to see how he became Batman, right? And that origin story is super duper duper important, but it's the most painful for us as humans to tell in real life, because we got to revisit those painful moments, and we got to tell that bad time. And most folks don't want to have that flashback. Those flashbacks are important. So any other things before we head off for the day? I think
I got one
okay.
one more little one, Ron.
Yeah.
Since you were talking about TD Jakes in St. Louis, if there are those of us, and I'm talking to myself now, that are sitting on something that's powerful, that God gave only to you, and I'll share this quick story. God did not give TD Jakes Woman Thou Art Loosed. He gave that to a white, redhead, curly guy from St. Louis.
Wow.
Who sat on it for 2 years and did not move. God then gave that same platform, that same energy, identical, gave it to TD Jakes. And Jakes moved on it. And this guy talked about fear. And he sat on Woman Thou Art Loose for 2 years. So whatever God has given you in your spirit, man, give it up. Because if you don't move on it, he's going to give it to somebody else.
I 100% agree with you. I want to share this really quick thing with you that I thought was interesting. And there's a old, you can look it up, and I'll let you look it up on your own. You all know I like old music, and they asked Michael Jackson one time. I couldn't find it on YouTube. They asked Michael Jackson, why does he hate sleeping? And he said, I find it hard to sleep because I'm afraid that God's going to give all the good ideas to Prince. Right. And I mean, he literally said this. He was like, I can't have God give the good song to Prince. So I'm always recording. I'm always up trying to just hear that next song. And I love that Greg tells that from a different perspective, because we can't really relate to Michael Jackson and Prince, but we see the things that we see, and we know, we've all done it. Real quick, and we'll end on this. We've all done it, and we hear someone talk about something, we're like, man, I thought about that same thing, right? And I like to call it Bluetoothing. Like God is giving all these people connect, connect, connect. And some people don't click the button and say pair. You know, you got that pair on your phone when the Bluetooth is open to everybody and it may hit your phone. If you don't click pair, you miss it, right? You 100% miss it. So we'll leave on that note. Say yes more than you say no. I think that's what I took from what Greg said. Say yes and take action more than you say no. But also be willing to offer people your story and your products and services. Make more offers so that you get more no's. You got to get more people telling you no, they don't want what you have, so that you can find the people that you connect with and you can be the avatar for the avatar tree of life. So great call today, guys. I'm going to hop off. Good to see everybody. Letha is doing Letha, you want to tell them about your pitch competition next week?
Sure, absolutely. Next week, Black NSA is presenting Make More Pitches, and it is a 3-day challenge. If you go to makemorepitches.com, you can learn more about it. Actually, register. It's absolutely free. On day one, we're going to be talking about how to become pitch ready. What do you need to have in place in order to begin pitching? Number two, day two is talking about where to actually find places to pitch, which we're going to be talking about Speaker Hub Pro. And then day three is crafting a strong pitch. So that's what we're up to next week. I get to interview Ron as part of that, but we would love to have you all come and join us. I'll put it, I know you're getting ready to jump off, but it's makemorepitches.com. I'll put it in the chat for anyone that's hanging around for a few seconds. Thanks a lot, Ron. I appreciate that. All right.
Oh yeah.
Thank
Hey,
you.
is that a real background or is that's a green screen?
That's real. No, that's real.
That is incredible.
That's real.
I'm like, hey, forget my house. I want that one. I want that kitchen. Look at that kitchen. That is insane. One day I'm gonna have me a pool table in my kitchen too. So, but hey, see you all tomorrow. Thanks again. And have a great evening. MakeMorePitches.com. It's a 3-day challenge. Done in conjunction with Black NSA. I think it would be good for you guys to attend because you all have had success pitching. A lot of the people who are on that challenge, they've never pitched before. So this is a great example for you to be the leader that they need, right? They need proof that pitching works and confidence that it works. The last time we had almost 300 people that participated, but a lot of them were timid about pitching. Right. And we were like, look, we got to get y'all to send more. Like, and I don't want to be like, we're going to bring Jadika on here who sends 800 pitches a minute, I don't want to do that, but I tried to kind of show them the leaderboard. But I think having real people in there that can say, I've sent hundreds of emails. I've sent thousands of emails. I've booked hundreds of podcasts or, tens of stages by using this process. That usually is the confidence that we need coming from someone that's not hosting the thing. Does that make sense? Like the audience applause means way more. You ever seen people, y'all stand up and applause, they get guilty and they stand up and applause because they don't want to be the only person not doing it. It's kind of the same type of social proof. So thanks again, guys. And anything in the comments that I've missed that before, any questions or anything that we didn't cover?
No, there aren't any questions. Just everyone just commenting how grateful they are to be here, for Greg's comments, for your transparency.
Yeah, Linda's poem was incredible. High five. Share your stuff, guys. Like that's what this is about. We're gonna do a lot more of this. Y'all gonna see a trend into the community stuff that we're gonna be doing. It's not gonna be a lot of, hey, here's a webinar. Nope. It's gonna be, we're gonna try to give you game that's actionable that you could use immediately. All right. Talk to you later. Have a great week.
All right. Bye-bye.